Welcome to How to Make a BJD Part 2. Let's just get started. Woo! So I've moved on to sculpting everything out like I told you guys I was going to, but I noticed something that I made a mistake on that I should have fixed I should have done in the first place. When you're making your core armature, you kind of want to leave little holes that will be, that will save you a lot of energy in trying to cut them out later, because now whenever I go back and I'm probably about to do it right now, but I'm gonna have to cut holes for the arm sockets, and I may not get them straight because of that, and that's something I've always struggled with that I'd never thought about until just now. But okay, just wanted to show you guys that mistake that I made, so hopefully you will not make it. So this is what I have of the torso piece so far. It is not finished, it is not fully sculpted, but I thought that before I add the bottom and the hips, I would go ahead and cut out the inside, the core. Also, I went ahead and cut the little arm sockets. That way I could sculpt the shoulders accordingly. So now you would just take your X-Acto knife and cut it out. So once you cut it all the way around, you should be able to just pull it apart. And see, now it's hollow on the inside, and you can just pull out your core, and now both sides will be hollow. So you see the core is removed. That was my core. My mistake earlier that I said was I forgot to make little arm sockets, so that way I would have little armholes for the elastic to go through, but I went back and fixed that. My next step will be I'm going to super glue, or no, I'll use Elmer's glue all because I don't want it to be too strong. I'll use that to glue these two pieces back together, and then I will continue sculpting her booty and hip area, and then the torso will just need refining from then on. But I went ahead and cut it out at this point because I didn't want the clay to be too thick, because I find it that the thicker the clay is, the harder it is for me to cut through it, and the harder it is for me to cut through it, the more I break things. So yeah, that's what I've got so far. I'll probably also reshape this tummy a little bit, just a little bit, but that's all for this moment. Okay, so I've done a ton of sculpting, and here she is laid out next to her blueprint, and as you can see that she's not exactly like my blueprint. She's slightly bigger, but I have a theory that that's just because she's actually 3D or whatever, I don't know. But I really like how she's turning out so far. So her head, I opted to give her no lips. That way you could just draw on whatever kind of mouth you wanted, because some people like very voluptuous lips and others like thin lips. Or maybe you want a little anime cat smile or something like that. But I thought that that would be cute. At least that's how I like it. And I suppose if you wanted your dolls to have 3D physical lips, you could commission someone to sculpt them, I'm sure. Or maybe, excuse me, maybe I'll make a head that will actually have lips, because I think this looks a lot better in my opinion. As far as the torso goes, the torso has been completed. I may resculpt the boobs a little bit, the chest a little bit, because they are, as you can see, you gotta stick to that blueprint, they are smaller. Her torso will be shortened slightly whenever I cut out the torso piece. All of the pieces have been sculpted. The next step for me is to sand, and then I will cut out the joints. Okay, so I've done a fair amount of sanding. She's still kind of rough, but most of the sanding will take place whenever I prime her. I prime, sand, go back and forth. So my next step is I traced on the arms and also on the legs where I wanted her joints to be, as well as what they would look like if they were peeking from the outside, just so I would have a little bit of a roadmap. Also, I fixed her torso a little bit. I decided to leave her bust how it was. I kind of like the smaller aesthetic to it. It's cute, so I left it. But right up under there, you can see my pencil marks. That's where I'm gonna cut out her chest and give her a articulated two-piece torso. I cannot speak today. And so that's my next part, is to cut these out. Oh wait, I just remembered that I have not yet unhollowed these. So that is my next step, and then I will cut out the articulation. Watch all the way through. Don't make my mistakes. So I removed my core, glued them back together. Once the glue dries, then I cut them as normal, because you really want that to be hollow before you do that. I have cut the arms horizontally as well as the legs. A quick intermission in this video. I forgot to show you guys how I made the elbow and knee peanuts. So a quick summary of that would be, I just took clay, I mushed it in the shape of a peanut, and I wedged it between like her upper arm and her her forearm and her bicep, squished it to make it fit, trimmed off any excess, and whenever I pulled it off, I had the perfect peanut shape. And then I baked the peanut in the oven at the set time. I cut out the elastic channel, and then also I cut out a little slit that allows it to bend. Sorry again, I didn't record that. An example of the elbow and or knee peanut. Not actual results, just an example. Okay, so Mini Jenny has her first test stringing today. Her feet and her hands are not finished yet, so they're not attached because I don't want to break them. She can pose pretty much how I want. Only thing is she can't sit up yet. When I try and sit her, her butt doesn't touch on the ground, so I'm going to rework that. Make it to where her butt touches the ground. Make it to where she can work how I want her to. Her joints need a little bit of refinement, as the hips, I am so happy with the hips, other than the fact that she can't sit, of course. But I'm happy with that. I love that. And also, her legs can bend, which is perfect. Again, she doesn't have her foot on, so that looks unusually short, but she's supposed to be short and chubby, short and fat, and proud of that. Yeah. Also, her torso still has the ultimate movement that I wanted it to have. She can slouch. There is a little bit of a gap, but that's okay. I don't mind that. It just fits right back into place, and she can also bend back about as far. It's difficult to do this one-handed. I need a tripod. She can bend back. She's in such weird poses because she's not perfect yet, but also her head is pretty much done. I sanded her head a bit more. She hasn't had any sanding or any priming yet. I have not installed anything to keep her head, the back of her head on yet, so that's not a thing yet. But yeah, here's her overall silhouette from top to bottom. Let me fix that pretty little face. And there she is. If you liked what I did today, found what I did helpful, and or like LMA here, go be sure to like and follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Macy's Dollies. Go love your dolls, guys. Bye.